What's going on, dweebs? It's Frank back at it again with another Neverwinter video. The topic of this video is going to be a game review. If you guys have followed the channel since the creation of it, I've done one when I hit 60 days played. I hit 100 days and I figured I'd do a revamped, better version because things have changed in the last 2 years of the game that I've been playing. A lot of things have changed, a lot of people have came, a lot of people have went. So I figured I'd do another recap to get the new players, thinking of things about the game, if they want to play it, if they don't want to play it, if they want to invest money, if they don't want to invest money, if they want to invest time, if they don't want to invest time. It's that part of the season where not a lot of games are coming out and it's kind of slowing. So I figured I'd make a video and maybe reach out to some of the newer people or reach out to the people who are still on the fence if they want to play Neverwinter. This video is going to be broken in 3 sections: character customization and leveling. Second part is going to be what you do and how the game operates when you hit 70. And then we're going to talk about end game for the third and final topic. We're not going to go through the specs of, frame rate drops and coding and how fast your PC has to be to run it. We're not going to go through all that. We're just going to go through the game experience as itself. How the game operates and how the game runs as being a D&D based game. If you guys want to see more content, I can't stress this enough, hit the notification and subscribe button. That way you get the notifications every time I put out a video, and I will keep out videos coming out later this week with Neverwinter, Fortnite, and maybe some Far Cry, since Far Cry came out today. So again, we're going to go ahead and get into it. We're going to discuss, it's not just my opinion, we're just going to discuss the game as, game mechanics, gameplay. Is it worth your time? Is it not worth your time? Because at the end of the day, if you're not having fun playing something, you probably shouldn't be playing. So we're going to cut it into 3 sections. The first section is going to be leveling. Just like any other MMO, Neverwinter has different races in the game. From Dragonborn to Human to Half-Orc, Wood Elf, Sun Elf, Dwarf, Halfling, Half-Elf, Tiefling, Drow, and every one of these races have their passive abilities, as you can see right there, their racial traits or whatever you want to call them. Again, some racial traits or racial abilities go better with the actual class itself, but there's no limit to what you can do with this. You can make whatever you would like, but again, at the high-end game, you want to have certain races to go with certain classes to get the best experience, the best overall outgoing DPS or the heals or the AP gain or whatever have you. You want to make sure that you are putting yourself in a good position. You can change genders, so you can have a Wood Elf, female, male, anything like that. As the character classes go, Trickster, Rogue, Devoted Cleric, Control Wizard, Hunter, Ranger, Scourge Warlock, Oathbound Paladin, Great Weapon Fighter, Guardian Fighter. There's rumors that there is another class in the works, but we have no idea what that's going to be. They have a big announcement when they reach the Jubilee event this summer. Maybe that has something to do with that. So you can intertwine the races with the characters here. Again, some races go better with certain characters, and so on and so forth. So you can intertwine, get the right specs to go with your character. And a lot of things that happen in the game are based on your character ability rolls here. You can roll them, mix them up however you would like, but again, at the end game, you want to make sure you're in the best position to fulfill end game needs. So you can roll these. As you see, the purple is primary and the 2 blues right there are secondary, and the other 3 are just obsolete. And I can put the 2 points in dex or strength, or 2 points dex and con, whatever your character needs, that's what you would go for. Again, we're not going to get into what a cleric needs or what a great weapon fighter needs or anything like that. This is just the overall making the character and going through the progressions. So you can change the face here. You have, once you create the face, you can then go into increase the size of the head, the hair, the eyebrows, facial hair, tattoos, scars, face scaling, body shape, and body scaling. They do a pretty good job with allowing you to fully customize the way you want your character to look. For some reason, especially for the half-orc or the tiefling, you can't adjust like the fangs of the orc or the horns of the tiefling. For some reason, I don't know why. You can adjust like where you want your horns, or if you want one horn or two horns or a broken horn or whatever have you. You can do that, but you can't adjust like the width or the size of those. That's something I would love to see them add into an update here in the near future, but I don't think they're going to work in that end. So as you see, you can adjust however you would like. If you want your character to have a big ass head, you can have him have a big ass head. If you don't have a giraffe neck, you can make him have a freaking giraffe neck. Whichever you want to do. The option is up to you. So once you're done that, gives you the option to pick a affiliation. This has no bearing on the game. This is just a little emblem you'll see at the top of your screen. Again, it has no bearing on where you're located or where you start or anything like that. Same thing with the origins. This has no bearing on what your character does or does not do. This just gives you a little background. And then at the very end, you're allowed to create your own character name. Obviously, it's the MMO. You can have them choose one randomly for you, or you can create your own. I love making references to anime, but that's just me. So, create your character, make your name. Everyone starts at the same location. There's not a different location for each class, which is something I would love to see again. But as of right now, you start at the same location. So that is the characters and the available races for said characters, and how you go adjusting the body scaling and things like that. You can do that. That is completely up to you. The options there. So the next part, in part 1 here, is going to be leveling. In Neverwinter, their social space is called Protector's Enclave. This is where you would get most of your quest lines from. You'll see a lot of Sergeant Knox, more than you probably ever want to see in your life, but that is the most quest line available is from him. You accept the quest, and just like any other MMO, the quest and leveling to endgame is kind of tedious. It's all the same thing, accept the quest, go help out here, do all the quest, come back to the quest giver, turn him in, and then he'll tell you to help out the next area. It is level capped, so it doesn't allow you to go into areas that you shouldn't be because you're underdeveloped. Again, this is pretty much standard when it comes to MMOs. It progresses you as you should be, instead of getting power leveled and things like that. There are options out there, but the overall experience is you go to the Enclave, all the question marks and explanation points are the quest, and the quest trail is kind of self-explanatory. It's kind of like Fable. A little glowing path leads you to your quest. The leveling, again, is tedious. It's pretty much the same missions in different areas with different enemies. There are main quests, obviously. It progresses you through and tells you, how to get your mounts and what you should do with your companions and artifacts and enchantments and how to level them up. The game itself is very diverse. There's different armors, there's different transmutes, there's different enchantments. The different enchantments from different spots that give you certain abilities and certain stats. Again, we're not going to go over each class and what stats they should be stacking and what stacks they should be using on certain enchantment slots. We're not going to go through all that. That's not what this video is about. This is just me reviewing the game and giving you the basis of what this game is. So, with that being said, there's a lot that goes into the game with leveling and getting to your max level, which is 70 in the game. That's only half of it. Leveling to 70 is pretty much the easiest part. Once you hit that, then that's when the real game starts. That's when the real grind begins, and that's when you're devoting all your time and effort into getting your character that much better. And at first, when you're hitting 70 and you're progressing your character and your stats are getting up and you're doing more damage, it is very fun. It's very rewarding. You get on, you do some stuff, your character grows, your stats go up a little bit, and you see the progression, day-to-day progression in your character. But once you hit that plateau of like, what do you do and what do you not do, that's when doing research and knowing the game comes into hand. So once you hit 70, then you're going to want to work on your artifacts. These are the 4 main things here. You want to make sure that you have what is called best in slot. This makes it to where you're not wasting refinement and resources upgrading artifacts that you don't need to keep at end game, because the artifact method for refining has gone away with the new refinement system. So just like any other MMO, you have the head, the chest, the arms, the offhand, main hand, feet, and on the right here you have rings and necklaces and belts and shirts and pants. Each have its individual stats. Each has a enchant slot for them. Again, we're not going to go over the importance of each enchant slot for each character. That's just how the game is. I would really look into doing a research on your build, on your character. Make sure it's end game. Make sure there's, some kind of end goal for you, because you don't want to invest a lot of time and energy in something to turn out that it's not what you need at all. Because with any other MMO, you have the powers that you have, and you can increase, up to 4 stacks per, and it's level capped as well. So you see 40 points here spent in level 40. That means you have to have at least 40 points in the above stats to unlock the next tier, and so forth, so on and so forth. You can't skip a bunch and put everything in. And during the leveling process, you'll gain feats. Finding the right build, as you see, there's righteousness, faithful, and virtuous. These are different paragon paths. These are different things that, different specs that's intertwined into each character. Each character has 3 paths. You can go and pick whichever path you would like, but again, there are some paths that are better than the others. There are some specs that are better than the others. You want to give your character the best chance of progressing through the game and making friends, because, take it from me, if you're not doing something right, people aren't going to want to play with you. So again, give your character, give your person, give your experience the best possible chance to succeed in the game. So towards the end of mid 60s, you're going to start going into what they're called campaigns. If anyone's followed D&D, you start a campaign, you work through it, you and your buds, you finish it, and then you go into the next campaign. It's pretty much the same premise. Besides, these give you missions, daily missions to do, starting with Elemental Evil and Maze Engine. When you're leveling and you're doing this and you hit 70, you should immediately jump into any campaign that you can to get the dailies. The dailies are very time consuming and tedious. You're doing the same thing every day, but you're getting significant rewards. And those significant rewards are boons. So you see here all the campaigns have to offer. We have Sharndar, Dreadring, Icewind Dale, Underdark, Tyranny of Dragons, Maze Engine, Elemental Evil, Storm King's Thunder, the Cloak Ascendancy, and Jungles of Chult. Each of these give you boons, and they're just basically passive abilities, passive traits, or permanent stat enhancements. So we'll take a look here. This boon here gives me 400 power, 400 crit, 3% action point gain, and it gives you a lot of passive abilities. It gives you a lot of things that you need working your character towards end game, making sure your character's, again, best possible character out there. This is by far one of the most beneficial things to be doing as you're getting to know your character, as you're getting to know the game, is to progress to the boons, because they can only help you. They can only help your character, they can only help your experience. Because knowing your character is only half the battle. Knowing the surrounding buffs and the right rotation to hit with the surrounding buffs in the game is where this game is diverse. Where this game takes off, where this game separates the very top tier people to everyone else. So you take your time with these boons. Make sure you get them all done, because again, they can't hurt you. They can only help your character. And at this point, you're going to want to invest time in your companions, because this is another great way to get your character ready. Your companions and your mounts. We're not going to go into class specific companions or mounts and what you need and what you don't need. If you guys want to see that video, I'll be more than happy to make a video for that. Maybe going through each of the characters and telling you what you need for your companions and what's best in slot for insignia bonuses and stuff like that. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments below. But we're not going to discuss any more of that. So by now, you will have your feats, and hopefully you'll have your powers right and your boons. This is going to launch you into the beginning of endgame once you start doing that. With each campaign, you'll start to unlock more dungeons. As your character grows, you'll reach the caps to unlock more dungeons, more skirmishes, more trials. As you see, you need item requirements, 7,500, 84, 84, 84, 84, 11,000. You see there's a big significant jump. And this is when the end game starts to take off here. A lot of people don't consider Fangbreaker Island endgame. They only consider Tomb of the Nine Gods endgame. But I would say it would probably start right there at Fangbreaker Island. That's when you start to go into endgame, run dungeons, because you can run all these if you want. There's no cap to what you can run, what you can run. There's just currency caps daily. It's to progress the character not just that day, but in the future. It's longevity for the game. So again, take that with a grain of salt. The currencies that you earn during this whole experience are daily cap for the most part. So if you're following that and you're going through and you have the right build, you should have no problem getting into the third and final part of the video, which is the end game. So the third and final point is the end game. This is where all your fine tuning, your min-maxing, you're going in, you're running the in-game dungeons. This is where the progression comes at a standstill for the most part, because you need so much currency just to get up that little bit of stat increase, the enchantment to the level 13, because in the recent mod they increased all the enchants up 2 levels and all the weapon and armor enchants up a level. They keep balancing the game. They keep fixing problems that are happening. A lot of people have quit the game because they nerfed, and I'm using that lately, the Scourge Warlock, or the power share where 25 clerics can get into Tiamat and power share all their power and get up to ridiculous amounts of power and one-shot things. They've slowly fixed that. They've slowly accommodated the people that were doing that, and they've cut that out. They've cut a lot of things out, and which makes people angry, because again, at the high end game, they want quick run times. They don't want to waste a bunch of 20-30 minutes doing a dungeon if they can do it in 10 to 15. They don't want to, carry people through that haven't done it before because they don't have the stats, or their character's not good enough, or they can't find a group. This is the difference between the end game and everyone else. And I hope that everyone who plays this game and plays it seriously gets to this point, gets to the point where they're running in-game dungeons and their character is at a standstill, so when you finally do progress and get that enchantment that you've been working on up to the next level, or the artifact, or your equipment, or you get that one ring that you've been grinding for 4 months to get, actually happens, it's very satisfying. So the end game, that's what you're doing. You're running the end-game dungeons, you're getting the currencies that you need, you're getting the AD that is with everything you need to buy, enchantments or regions to upgrade your enchantments, or Prez wards or cold wards or anything like that. That's where you grinding out these dungeons, and you're grinding out your dailies, and you're grinding out the market and whatever you're doing to earn your AD. This is when everything comes into play, and this is where the game separates itself from other MMOs. Because yes, there's diversity, and yes, there's characters that are running stuff they probably shouldn't, or using enchantments they probably shouldn't. But you can do that. You can have fun doing that. There's a very popular guy, we're not going to mention any names, there's a very popular streamer who runs the mediocre dungeon every day, and he does that, and he just gets the AD that he needs, and he goes on about his business. It's worked out for him this far. So the end game is where it's at. The end game is what everyone should strive for, but some don't quite hit the mark, and that's okay. It's however you enjoy playing the game, and you should do that. If you enjoy running Kessel's Retreat and, you know, Lost Mouth, run Kessel's Retreat and Lost Mouth. If that's what makes you happy and that's what makes you come to this game, by all means. Before we go and end this video, I do want to talk about the PvP. They've definitely made some some changes to the PvP and the items that you can get, and because it was very one-sided. The in-game players would really decimate the new players, and new players really didn't want to play PvP, so it was just nothing but high-end people taking advantage of the newer people. They've changed that. They've nerfed that a little bit, so there is a PvP aspect to it. That's just not something I'm going to talk about, because to me, I don't want people getting in this game for PvP to find out that it's one-sided. The last thing that I want to talk about before we end this video is the pay-to-win aspect. With this being a free game, there is a Zen store. You can buy Zen with actual money. As you see, here's the prices. A couple of times a year, they'll cut the prices in half, or 25% off of all Zen, stuff like that. They need money to keep the game flowing. They come out with at least two full mods now a year, because this is a free game, so they have to make money some way. So if that's something you're into, there is options out there. Again, this $200 Zen pack, that 23,000 Zen isn't going to get you very far in the game, but that's an option. It's an option for you, especially for starting out people want to get there faster, and they get there at the end game and they realize they missed something, or they're not playing their character quite right, and they can get picked up and they can't make friends and things like that. So there is that. You can take this Zen, and it's what they call the Astral Diamond Exchange. You can sell that Zen. Sell Zen. It goes for 390 to 394 a piece. So you can see where you'll get the AD, and that's with Astral Diamonds. It gets transferred to Astral Diamonds, and Astral Diamonds is a universal currency they exchange for things in the auction house. That's where everyone buys and sells their stuff. So if that's something you're into, that option's there. You're going to pay a lot to get an end game, but the option is there. The option's there for people who don't want to grind and don't want to waste the time to get their character where they should. I don't condone this, nor do I frown on people who do this. This is just an option that it's out there for you people, if you do so want to use this. I know I talked a little bit in the last video that I made about how this game wasn't pay to win, and how this game, isn't, something you can get in and buy your way through. But with the new changes coming out and masterworking, making armor that you can get because you don't want to grind, it's slowly becoming pay to win. Like for next mod, they're coming out with the end game rings for masterwork. If you guys obviously don't know what masterwork is, it's a crafting ability to make items. These items before were Titan Steel. These give you the same stats as in-game armor without grinding for the regions and the currencies. They're doing the same thing with the rings. I agree because it's making people spend money, but I disagree because it's holding the people who want to grind, who get on this game because they love running dungeons and they love the content it brings in and all that fun stuff. So again, we're going to go ahead and end this video on that note. There is a pay to win aspect. I saved it for the end because some of you guys might not make it to the end. But if you do, hit that thumbs up. Let me know that you guys made it to the end. With that being said, this is your boy Frank signing out. Peace.